today for this joint meeting of the Provo City Council and Provo City.
Recording in
Rachel Whipple.
Gary.
Emily Harrison, School Board. The various people from staff and administration for both the city and the school board who are with us today as well. We believe that Councilor Hoban may be joining remotely.
Just joined.
He has joined remotely, so Travis Hoban is also here. And we are going to excuse Councilors Handley and Councilor Christensen. Is that everybody? Okay. We'd also like to note that Isaac Paxman is here representing the mayor's office. I understand the mayor's in every meeting, but she may try to join us later. We excuse her for the beginning, and we're very happy that you're here with us now. All right. Oh, and is Wendy over here? Wendy Dow, our superintendent. Thank you for coming. Glad that you're here. All right. Although this is a public meeting, only the presenters and those invited by the council may speak or ask questions unless otherwise invited by the chair. And I will note that I'm the vice chair. I'm just starting so Gary can catch his breath. Oh, apparently I get to keep doing this though. So thank you. Please wait to speak until you're called on by the chair or the vice chair. When speaking, please be sure to speak loud and clear. This room is wired with microphones all around. So if you are clear, it will be caught by the recording, and anybody who's looking on Zoom or watching the recording will be able to hear you. Because this room is so well mic'd, we ask that you limit your side conversations because those will interfere with the audio recording. So if you really do need to have a side conversation, we'd invite you to step out of the room and go into the hallway. Okay, so our first item is a review of the annexation proposals that have been received by Provo City from May 1st, 2025 through October 20th, 2025. The reason that we have this item is because it's our understanding that the school board has a certain period of time after we annex something in order to go through the easy version of the process to get that in your school district boundaries for the tax purposes. And so we have a few new annexation proposals coming to us, and we just want you to have that on your radar. So even though it's an incredibly long process, you will not be surprised at the end of it, and you can act quickly. Justin Harrison is our council executive director. Can you present the slides on this one?
Sure can. I don't know if you want me to go and run. And
Yes,
give a
please.
Word about this. So, thanks everyone for coming out this afternoon. As Vice Chair Whipple mentioned, we're gonna go through just the annexation items that have been submitted to the city since the previous joint meeting, and we'll keep this as a standing item moving forward so that we keep everyone in the loop. But since the last joint meeting on May 1st of this year, there have been 4 annexation petitions that were submitted to Provo City. There's a decent amount of information in the packet that I won't go through, but if there are any specific questions, please feel free to jump in. Those 4 annexation petitions are in various stages of the process. State code is, they lay out a clear process, but it's a little awkward. As petitions are submitted to the city, there's an opportunity for the city council to initially either accept that petition or deny it right away. And so that is really the step where a majority of those petitions are currently, with the exception of one that was approved by the council in their regular council meeting on Tuesday night, and that is for 16.67 acres of property near Canyon Road. So that is the only annexation that has gone through a majority of the city process, since the last joint meeting. The other three are in that initial phase. They will come for final action at a future city council meeting, after which other taxing entities, including the school district, will be notified that those have now been moved into Provo City. And so those,
Justin, when you talk about pre-approval, that's basically pre-yellow then. The only one that is even on the screen is that one.
yes,
That's Canyon Road, which is in the yellow phase right now.
correct. I guess before I jump in, I've got a couple of maps, just to kind of orient anyone. Any questions on that annexation process? These four annexation petitions that have been submitted to the city.
I do. At what point, maybe I missed it, but what point does the county? Because I know our frustration with the last time we were annexing with the county, and do they even have a process for doing this? Or are they just making it up as they go along?
That is a great question. I don't want to pretend to speak on behalf of the county. But they are involved in the process. So once the annexation petition is filed with the city then works with the county. And then it comes back to the city for actual approval. So I don't know what the county's actual internal process looks like. Happy to reach out and try to find out, to get some clarification and share them. I'm not familiar with the county's internal process.
That's a great question, Terry, to know whether or not is the county even aware that this process is going on until they're notified. Annexed into the city. That's a great question.
Because I don't think they have a set process of how to do this from our experience the last time. They just make it up as they go along.
I understand it doesn't happen that often, and so they have to get communication with the state. But I'm sure there is a process. I'm just not so sure that it's followed enough. Are familiar with.
Justin, could you speak to how long does it take from the time the council first gets it till it's officially annexed? Like for the one you guys just approved this week, is that
Right.
officially annexed or
No.
like
No.
when do we know that our clock is starting for our process?
So unfortunately, it varies based off of the steps, because the property owner filing petition is gonna file with the entity there is going to annex into, in this case, Provo City. The city is then gonna work with the county and the property owner. And then once the city accepts that annexation and it's been passed by the council, it's my understanding, and I don't want to fill on the spot, but Development Services will then notify those taxing entities that properties have been annexed into the city and are now under that new jurisdiction. I don't know if this will help or hurt, but it'll, I think, at least show the difficulty of this process that's outlined in state code.
Well, and last time, didn't we have to do it? It felt like 4 times. I think we really only did it twice, but because there's so many steps. And that was because, was there an error where there was a deadline missed and the state didn't respond or something? So we had to start all over. We are trying to avoid doing that again.
Lisa.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Devin about this. So when property is annexed into Provo City, is that when we can start the clock on our process to reach out to the county to have that property added to the school district?
Once the recording is done, yeah.
Okay. And then can we Can we use the city's map that shows, or do we still need to get our own separate map of all of that put together? Like, has that streamlined at all?
And it has not been, but the last one we did was from 15 years properties.
Okay, so it was more complicated than maybe it will be going forward. Does Senator Bramble's bill make it easier in theory?
In theory,
Okay, I'm just curious about that. It feels more arduous than it ought to be. It ought to be, if it's in Provo City,
Recorded.
then we go through a few steps and it's in Provo City School District. It's like, maybe that's something we can reach out to legislators about trying to make that a cleaner.
And it is important to note too that it's the property owner who applies to be annexed to the city. The city cannot go and say, oh, this is this little island, we are going to
Right.
annex you ourselves. We get questions from the public about that, like, well, why don't you just take this too while you're at it? And we can't. Yes, Gordon.
So, that last big annexation into the school district was painful for you and also for Chad Hill. And so he has made it a commitment on his side, as soon as it reports with the county, he'll be contacting you. So,
Right.
so the county's gonna stay a variable, the lieutenant governor's gonna stay a variable. The only consistent thing you have is one,
And we,
so we just don't want you to do it again. We said, I don't know that there's a clear path there.
is this our flow chart for the
Yeah,
annexation?
Kevin,
This is terrible.
mounts the city's process according to state code for the annexation. So there are lots of,
Justin, with the one parcel that was approved to move forward last Tuesday, where are we in this process?
Well, you are here, Don.
Council meeting is held to accept or deny the petition.
yeah, this was a month ago.
So we're not.
Was
this far
accepted,
along.
so it'll go to the city recorder and city attorney. So the petition will just need to be certified. So we are still, we're mid-process.
And maybe just show us the maps of properties, Justin, so they can see what schools would be impacted.
Yeah, that'd be great. This map.
Got a lot of other maps too.
Yes. So this is the parcel that was annexed, just over 16 acres, that's furthest along in the process, that was adopted by the council last Tuesday. This Tuesday, off of University Avenue, and roughly Foothill Drive, or Canyon Road. If that helps orient you as far as where in the city this is.
And it's how many acres? 12 acres?
Just under 17.
17
17.67.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Lisa.
So I thought that it was only gonna be south of Foothill Drive based on the neighborhood meeting. So this looks like they actually went ahead and decided to do the rest of that property on the north side?
It's just where the red line.
The red line. Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
it's not the entire parcel.
Part of that field.
It's part of.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's two separate owners. Yeah,
Right. But that way the entire street is now within the city,
right.
even though we've been maintaining that.
And of course, we never get developer intent as part of this process. But we understand this may not be a heavily residential area, but it just gives you a feel for the acreage. And thanks, Justin.
Next map. Maybe easiest if you want to zoom in that for vicinity map to kind of orient it. And so our northeast, this is a much larger. annexation petition for roughly 145 acres. At roughly 5078 North Canyon Road. So this has not been to the council for approval yet. It's just in that preliminary. It's been accepted by the city and will move forward.
But this one, we have seen some potential development drawings on this parcel, and it would be on a heavy residential area.
I don't think this would exceed 219 homes.
Okay.
Yeah. But even that many homes is going to, you certainly want to get it in there for your property taxes and everything. That's a good addition for you. All right.
The third map, again, is very close to that second map we just looked at. Much smaller area. Supposed to be annexed.
Where's Canyon Road? Okay,
One that west border.
okay.
How many acres is this?
So this is 2.13 acres.
But it's not contiguous to the other parcel, so it's being considered
Very
separate.
close, but not contiguous.
Are these the ones who said that they just figured they may as well come in and that way they'd have faster police response times as
Yes.
well?
So really no intent to develop anything different, at least at this point. But they were actually asked by the applicant who's kind of put together that last 145 acre petition. They didn't want to be part of that development, but figured this is happening around them. They're kind of this little islanded area. And again, they mentioned just having police response would be.
I think this one was just 2 neighbors, is that right? It's only a couple of houses. Okay. And they don't want to change anything about it. So.
And then the last petition is in West Provo off of Lakeview Parkway. Yeah, located generally at 620 North Lakeview Parkway, roughly 30 acres. Made up of I believe 4 parcels and 2 property owners. Right along Lakeview. All undeveloped land at this point, and right as of now, the city hasn't received any details on if there's intent to develop this sooner or later and what that would look like.
Counselor Fogden.
Just to clarify, this is contiguous with our property, or is there property in between?
There's a property.
Okay, so there's one that is across the street from the high school, just south of the high school, that we're gonna build on, right? And then there's a property, and then that's where this starts. And it goes down past the 620, which is the road that comes off of Lakeview Parkway over to the roundabout. Comes down, that's if you're looking at that one, because the high school's just.
Do we know how they got the name SS Meadow on that one?
Chad's a big deal. He can drive.
It was Skipper Bay was the property owner. And so he gets to pick the name and nobody objected. And so
That's great.
Is he a friend of yours, Vern?
No.
All right. Are there any other questions about these upcoming annexations? Okay, so we'll keep you updated as we go through the process, but that way you won't miss any deadlines. All righty. Well, and this is a good transition because the next thing we are going to talk about is Provo City Workforce Housing and Land Trust Project. Since, one that we're doing is right there next to this, and by the high school. I don't know if you guys have gotten a lot of comments about that just because it's close to the school. We certainly have gotten a lot. Justin, do you have a slide deck for this one as well?
I do, and happy to go through it. I'll also put Bill on the spot again. He's much more of an expert on this, if you'd like to chime in. These are just the slides that were presented by Development Services and the developer a few council meetings ago when this property went forward for a rezone. I know we've talked about this previously in joint meetings, and the council's talked about this at length, but this is property at 3200 West Bulldog Lane. Again, you all are very familiar with this, just south of the high school. So this property was recently rezoned by the council for open space to R16. So there are plans to build 68 lot subdivision with 34 market rate homes, 34 workforce homes that will be within the land trust that is being developed with a subsidiary of the Provo City Housing Authority. You can see kind of the concept plan here of what the lots look like. That green open space to the south of the property is undevelopable. So Development Services has worked with the developer to cluster these homes on the developable land. So
And there's gonna be boardwalks on that green space.
Yeah, so it should be a nice kind of open amenity space that will be able to be used instead of just swampy weeds. So we'll be good. What's been really interesting about this is this was a council-driven priority where we had asked the city to look for property that we already own that could be developed for the workforce housing. Because there's relatively little that we can do to address housing issues in the market and everything. And they identified this parcel for it. And we've been really excited about it. We've been really happy that Development Services has been able to find a good developer to do this, and our cooperation with the Housing Authority to the Land Trust has been really fruitful. And then we got a lot of negative pushback from the immediate neighbors. They didn't understand that workforce housing is not like low income housing. So there were concerns about that. There were concerns about construction. And then they also raised concerns that they would rather have a commercial hub there. Although it seems like any construction impacts would be just as bad from that. And even with that, the council is still fully supportive of this. Our last vote was unanimous to go ahead with this. And we have talked to you before about, exploring some of your properties to do a similar land trust. And I'm really glad that you get to see us go through this process to see, both the challenges and the opportunities that we're doing. We did get a little bit of pushback that we're not opening this up for teachers, but we're looking at this for our city employee workforce. But we've talked to you a little bit about this. We've also talked to Intermountain Health because they own a significant amount of property, and maybe they could do something like this for some of their employees. But this is one way that we entities that own property in the city can help address some of our concerns for our employees.
Maybe we could have Bill speak to the developer, the home builder, and to the demand.
So first of all, we're really lucky in that this is a remnant parcel the city bought when we bought right of way for Lakeview Parkway. It was leftover land from that. While land on the west side goes for around 200,000 an acre, the city's into this entire 12 acres at $200,000. So very affordable for the city to contribute that towards 68 homes, 34 of which would be workforce housing. So really, the stars kind of aligned in a positive way for us. The builder is Nilsson Homes out of northern Utah. They've done large developments up there, developments of hundreds of homes, where they do the same type of thing, a combination of workforce housing and market rate homes. This is the first time, though, the workforce housing will be put into a land trust so that it'll be managed by the land trust, so it stays affordable from owner to owner and it stays affordable long-term. So that's a new twist to them. And their motivation in this is really to come up with a model that they can make work, that they can then go to other cities and say, what land do you have that we might be able to do the same thing for your employees? So it's good for us and it's good for them. Nilsson Homes has been excellent to work with, probably the most professional group of builders I've worked with, and I've been doing this for 35 years. Just very detail oriented, very professional.
In fact, Bill, when the governor announced his initiative 2 years ago to build thousands of starter homes, Nilsson partnered with him in an initial project in Ogden. You might have heard his name or their firm's name as one of the first to step forward in meeting that state goal of providing starter homes.
That project that Gary's referring to is hundreds of homes. If you just Google Nilsson, Nilson, Nilsson Homes, you'll come up with it and find it. I've just been working with them on the home designs for the affordable units. It's looking like we're going to have the workforce housing in the high 300s to low 400s for single family detached homes. We have 34 for sale and I've got a waiting list of 47 employees. Some of the employees will get kind of drummed out because they won't meet the income requirements. You have to make at least a certain amount, but you can't make more than a certain amount based on your household size. So some will get drummed out just by not meeting qualifications. And that's why I wanted more than 34 people on the list. But my guess is we're going to have more demand than we've got homes. So hopefully first project of more to come in the city.
I'm just really happy that we are being innovators on this, that we're leading out, and it does mean that we're working through the kinks, but I think it's worthwhile, and this gets much needed housing there. And I'm just really grateful for council for pushing this. And I have to acknowledge that this was a huge thing that Catrice pushed as she was chair. And it's taken a huge part to her persistence that we're at this point now. Do you have any questions about this project or? Yes.
So I think it was you said, or maybe it was you said 34 workforce and 34, what was the other? What, can you explain to me what the difference is and what we're talking about?
Market rate homes would start around $600,000. So that's their true market value. It's what we mean by market rate. During my career, I've been a developer and I've been a city planner. And so I have just found over the years that neighborhoods that mix incomes and mix housing sizes and mix housing architectural, not styles, but types, it just makes a more sustainable neighborhood. It's just seems to be better for everyone. You can buy that workforce unit and live in it for years. And as your family grows and your income grows, you can then move into one of the market rate units if you want to stay in the area. So it just.
So the 34 market rate will just be homes, just like every other home in Provo, not part of the land trust.
That's right. And anyone can buy those. That's right.
So they'll own their land. But the land trust ones, the unique thing in why it's perpetual is that the land trust, which will be set up through the Provo Housing Authority, will own the land the whole time. That's why you're buying the house cheaper. So you still move on with equity when you sell it, but it's a little bit less because you're buying it less. You know what I mean? It's just.
Okay, thank you.
So how would the sale price be determined, Bill? If in 10 years I decided to sell my workforce housing, just using inflation or?
So in 10 years, if you want to sell the workforce housing unit, they will allow it to increase in value, but not at the market rate. So you get to walk away with some equity, some increase in equity as that owner, but you don't, if you walk away with the market rate increase, it wouldn't be affordable for the next person. Okay, Like, exactly what those percentages are, I'm not sure, we're working through that with Nielsen Homes and the land trust, but that's generally how it works.
But it still puts you in a better position than renting.
Sure.
Because when
Still
you've got
building
your
equity.
mortgage, you've got those consistent monthly payments and you are getting some equity. As opposed to renting where it can be raised year to year, there's no security that you could stay in the unit and you get no equity.
Basically like you're leaving the equity of the land in it. You're not taking that with you.
Yeah, so we're really excited to keep moving forward on this. I think even the workforce housing, which is a little bit modest, is still bigger than the house that I live in. So it will be good for families. Yeah, and yes, oh, yes, Melanie.
Do you have an HOA on this?
Yes, that includes everyone,
And so everyone would be part of that,
yes.
which helps keep the looks.
Maintenance of the wetland area and the boardwalk will be an HOA responsibility. And maintaining the park strips along the streets, like Bulldog Boulevard, will be an HOA responsibility. But Nielsen Homes has worked to try to keep that cost as low as possible, because that impacts your mortgage payment and that impacts your ability to qualify.
And then what's completion date?
We hope to have people moving in homes in 26, towards the end of 26.
What are the sizes of the homes within the whole, like how many bedrooms?
I'm sure the
Make
most
it rate.
affordable of the most affordable homes will probably be 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. But we're really pushing for a lot of 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom homes. We want people to have enough bedrooms to be able to stay in it for many years.
Yeah, Gina.
So one thing that I've been told by people is, you know, the school district employees and board are not developers and they don't know what they're doing, which in my case is absolutely correct. I have no idea about any of this stuff. So as you guys are, I'm assuming it's the same for the city council. How much oversight is there any oversight by the city, or is it on the land trust? Like, how do I respond when people, because I don't know, understand it enough. I'm not a landlord. I don't want to be a landlord right now, at least with this kind of stuff. So it's like, help me understand that.
So we have seen this as a joint venture between the city and Nielsen Homes. So Gordon Haight, our city public works director, and myself, I'm the development services director. We've been very involved in this every step of the way with Nielsen Homes.
Thing is that the Provo Housing Authority has its nonprofit entity where the land trust sits. What's it called, Bill?
I think it's Utah County, Utah Valley Land Trust.
Utah Housing Land Trust, I think. So, anyway, but there's a board and there are very experienced developers on there. And they can also be partners because they have Dave
Gardner.
and other developers on that land trust purposely. And they work with the developer and be that side of it. So that's the point of view. We're not going to be managing this after this, like we're hands off. So between a developer like Nielsen Homes and between the land trust, they can do it on their own with your oversight as far as what your priorities would be, who you want to appeal to as far as who would live in the home and what you want you want so much market or, your percentages, those kind of things.
Thank you.
Once construction starts, whether that's infrastructure or homes, once construction starts, the city's pretty much out of it. It's taken over by Nielsen Homes and Land Trust.
Thank you.
Yeah, Melanie.
How much money does the city plan on getting out of this by selling these homes? Because this.
Our compensation for this is the 34 workforce housing units. That's our compensation, and that's worth far in excess of $200,000 to us.
Yeah, because part of that is it makes it easier for at least a portion of our city employees to live in the city. And that makes it easier for us to retain them. And we don't have those turnover costs.
Especially safety employees.
Oh, yes, it's fire and police. It's huge. Although that's not only who we have on the list. But the cost of personnel turnover, as you know, is substantial. And if we can have more of our people living in our city, then they're less likely to take a job somewhere else.
So the direct opportunity cost for giving up financially is the selling of the land.
And then if they leave the city,
like, they're not working for the city anymore.
Cause he
still
gets to
stay
stay in the
home.
house, but when they do sell it, it has to go back to a city employee.
Yeah, we're not going to,
Babysit
to, or to make their home contingent on that job. That would be dirty. Yeah, that's not the plan. Other questions on this item?
I just wanna say, I think it's really cool.
We're really excited about it. And that's why it was so funny when we got such opposition from a few people who live close to it, because we have been so excited about it. And it's a really good reminder that you can be working on something for what, we've been on this for a year or two.
Years.
And like, we're so immersed in and so excited about the good things. And we haven't brought the whole community along with us on that journey. We haven't been telling the story. So the first time they heard it, they just thought it's another development, which we hate. We're like, oh, no, no, no. So we're still working on helping them see why we're this excited about it. All right. Item number 3, we have a discussion regarding safe routes to school. Jennifer, did you want to take lead on this?
Sure, I can do that. Okay, so this was on the agenda. It's a good time of year always to just review with you guys what safe routes to school is. So every school has a school community council, and the majority of the members on that council are parents. And then there are also some teachers and the principal. And they meet basically monthly throughout the school year. And one of their responsibilities is they go over their safe routes. Every year they've designated, and there's an official website where the principal has to go in, and it's listed on the website. Here are the ways that we're encouraging our families, our students to get to school as they walk, as they bike, safely. And then they send that information out to all the parents at the beginning of every year. And usually in September, there's a week where it's bike to school week, and they really focus on all those kinds of things. And then the school community council also talks about, are there any areas of concern that we have that we would recommend? Maybe we think we need a crosswalk or a crossing guard or a stop sign, or we have a school that had been around for years and didn't have a, hey, you're entering school area sign, right? Can we get one of those? So then they submit those to the district, and then Jared Seitz, our assistant superintendent of elementary, he compiles all of those and then works with the city, with Vern, to go over the list together and then start the process on that. And Jared, is it okay if I have you kind of take over and explain where you guys are at with like how the process goes from there and the communication of how we work together, the city and the district?
Too. So we asked principals to work with their councils so that by their November meeting, any recommendations for infrastructure improvements, crosswalk areas, just areas of concern. And then Bert Kiesler and I have last couple of years, we review these and compare them with what regulations you've done that you have to consider. Bert has been a part of attending these meetings at each school location, has already begun that process again this year. That way he can answer direct questions related to that community and hear feedback from them of their concerns. We've recently begun a process of meeting more frequently, be quarterly now, to review and have crossing guard supervisor in attendance, as well as our transportation director, just so that we're all on the same page throughout the year. To support these councils with the recommendations that they've made, but also to vet them through what limitations maybe exist.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions about that before we move on to specific areas that we wanted to talk about?
It's helpful to know the community council process, and I'm just really happy to hear that you're working with our traffic engineers so that you can make it more smooth. That's good. It seems like it's getting better. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I was talking to Vern before the meeting, and I said, I've been involved on school community councils before I was on the board. I mean, it's been probably over 15 years. And just the level of collaboration between the district and the city is so much improved from where it used to be. And I think that's really great that we've got that partnership, recognizing that our schools are part of our city and the support from the city council as well. I know you guys have prioritized some funds to be able to make that happen, and some sidewalks near some of our schools that didn't have safe walking routes, right? We appreciate that collaboration together. When we met with leadership, you guys asked specifically about 2 areas. So one of those is with the construction happening on the University Avenue bridge, is that affecting any of our students, and how are we addressing that? So was it this spring that we approved a bus route for our students who attend Franklin Elementary? And they would have to cross 5th West to get to Franklin Elementary. And the concern was that, will there be increased traffic on 5th West because people are trying to find alternate routes so they don't have to take that bridge? And so we approved that. So that one's running this year. Anything to add about that route? Anybody? Okay.
Fern, any insights?
That was a very important decision by the school board to support, because we did not have great compliance with parents and students using 300 South at the traffic signal, where the pedestrian is allowed a little bit more time for kids to cross that. Unfortunately, we were seeing people dart across 4th and 5th South. So what the school board did really improved the safety of those students who attend Franklin.
Councilor Bogdan?
I just wanted to say, locals will probably take any route they can, but UDOT is not pushing west. You're pushing the freeway, and they're pushing Lakeview Parkway over to State Street. They're pushing their streets. And part of the reason for not pushing 5th West is because that portion's a local street. But the other portion that is where Fern, help me out, what's it? So when they stop on those tracks and 9. So if you live south of those tracks, or if you're trying to get south of those tracks, and you're trying to get north, whatever, and me having a child at Franklin that's also bused, it's important for me to have the bus drivers know that, sitting there, and I have a lot of constituents that ask, how are we supposed to get over there? Because they know that it's blocked for long periods of time. So it's either go clear over to 1600 West over by Sunset View, and then up over the freeway, so you can get east of the freeway, or you go down by the mall and get on the freeway and go around, or you'll build a long way and you'll have to go down to Lakeview Parkway over to State Street, then up to 3rd, and all the way over. So for me as a parent, I just would appreciate that communication with the bus drivers to let them know, hey, if there's a bus,
Or if there's a
take
train.
the freeway, or maybe take the freeway instead of trying to maneuver University Avenue, or just sitting there with the kids for over an hour. Especially some of those little naughty ones.
Are you seeing families take advantage of that bus route?
There are, I don't know how many students, and there are people using it.
Okay, so that's one area. Did you have another area?
The other one brought to our attention that you guys are about to start the bridge work on 820 North. And so we're asked, what is our plan for that? And right now, the plan is that we're aware of it, and the schools are aware of it, and they are going to work with their school committee councils to have a plan. Do we have a timeline for that project?
So that project will start demolition on November 10th. By the way, that's Marine Corps birthday, Veterans Day, the day after.
Yep.
What we'll see is the demolition of the bridge over the next few weeks. And the detour route will be 5th North through Independence Avenue and 500 West, which is US 89 State Street. That would be the official detour route. Locals are gonna know their own way around there. We're strongly gonna recommend a lot of signs that say local traffic only. The crosswalk with the crossing guard at 8th North will continue to be in place through will be a 7-month is our website that we're answering questions on and taking, comment when there's an issue or whatever. So 5th North was recently restriped to include bike lanes in each direction and 10-foot travel lanes. We narrowed the travel lanes on that, trying to get a little bit of slower speed.
Is it just in that bridge area? Like if I'm thinking about students who are on a bike or walking that might need to cross 8th North, can they just in the neighborhood kind of go around and how big is the path that they have to avoid?
Great detour route for both bikes and pedestrians. And also the Provo River Trail runs right through there underneath 820, which will be closed. And that will also have a detour route. And I suppose what we could probably go to, look it up on the website by now, but we just held last week a big open house at the 500 North of the Parks Recreation Center. And we had pretty good attendance to that. We had like 65 people show up and see the detour maps and ask questions and participated in that. So the detour routes for bikes and pedestrians and those using the Provo River Trail are posted on the website.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just to note is whenever you put these traffic control signs, there's always gonna be one more sign you ought to put up or someplace. So as people notice that, or if you get complaints, have them get with us and we can certainly add more signs. We found we don't have enough signs in the city and we're gonna get there. So just where we can put a sign. And it's not just sign, if the timing of signals isn't just right. We've looked at all this, we're trying to hit those things, but you just don't know what people are gonna do. And so it's gonna be changing all the time. So we're able to respond dynamically. Some of these will be UDOT and Vern meets with them very regularly on this. So we can do updates real quickly if we're finding that we're causing a problem that we can fix by helping communicate better. So go to the website, but also don't hesitate to get a hold of Vern and he'll implement those changes. So.
Our transportation director at the beginning of the year, Vern's been working with him for a while on the project. They changed the routes for those that are impacted by the 820 North. So those routes have already been adjusted at the beginning of the school year to avoid a lot of that issue. And then we're still waiting to see what the actual traffic pattern is going to look like on the University Avenue Bridge. Right now they're using Freedom and 500 West, and if they get stopped on the train, they do have plans to go around.
Wonderful. Anything else from you, Jared? Okay.
We're on weekly contact right now with Troy over at the transportation office. And it's not just the detours that we have. Every once in a while, we'll have a water line, sewer line that needs a repair where the whole road has to be closed, like this morning south of BYU. So I called Troy about 5:30 last night. I have a cell phone number and so made the proper accommodations for that. But Troy's great, Jared's great. We worked with your professional staff this morning. We met with Devin and tried to work out some other issues with another parking lot. So
Okay, good. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, the next one is a discussion about crosswalk updates. We have you assigned for this too. Do you want to do that?
I'm wondering if we could just have Vern give us an update on some of the changes that have happened.
Vern can do this in his sleep, so no preparation necessary.
we have a couple of changes that are occurring on 10-View Drive and then 3700 more. The 10-View Drive crosswalk there. Of course, we have two schools. We have Rock Canyon Elementary and then Centennial Middle School. Centennial Middle School, while we provide school crosswalks and school crosswalk signs for them, they don't receive crossing guards. but the elementary schools do. And so for Rock Canyon Elementary School, we've done some studies and determined that the safest route is to come down to the four-way stop. And where the crossing guard is located and where all vehicles have to come to a complete stop, supposed to come to a complete stop, right? And then head over to Rock Canyon. We're retaining the crosswalk at 2445 North, right across this, right near the LDS Church and the Rock Canyon Elementary School. We convert that to a pedestrian crosswalk and we're gonna put flashing beacons on it. And that way, all those older children that go to middle school can push the button and hopefully cars will see and stop and then they can feel a little safer going across. We'll be implementing that soon as I get them in. They've been ordered for about 3 weeks now. We will also be converted from a school crosswalk because we only had, unfortunately, 4 children that were using the crosswalk. This is why we like people walking and biking, so we justify a school crosswalk, but we only had 4 using it. We're converting that to a pedestrian crosswalk as well, and that one too will have flashing beacons. People will be able to push button and go across there. And that leads right up to Edgemont Elementary and Tenview High School. So those are the 2 biggest changes I think that we're experiencing right now. We're also trying to assist Provo Peaks a little bit. We get 7th East to get some people that like to come around the roundabout. Think that is a slingshot to BYU campus. So we're trying to find the right crosswalk there to install the appropriate treatments there too.
On 700 East, like halfway through the block, that crosswalk?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, I have gotten a lot of from neighbors on that one.
What about Westridge? You put that.
Westridge, we just, thank you, Patrice, that's a really good comment. We just, when we did a study up there at Westridge Elementary, we have 2 reduced speed school zones. And neither of them warranted the requirements for reduced speed school zone. So what we did is, the one was 15, I needed 16 points. So we closed the one that was several blocks away, about 4 blocks away on 1300, and we kept the one right in front of the school. So we also converted that crosswalk to a pedestrian crosswalk because there's a park there and people want to get to other things. And we put flashing beacons on that. Has anybody used that crosswalk? Live up in that neighborhood? Okay, so it's working. Fortunately, we have the infrastructure for sidewalks to send them down eastward or westward to go across where the crossing guard is there. And so we were able to retain that reduced speed school zone. And right in front of that crosswalk that we converted from a school to a pedestrian crosswalk, we put a your speed sign. And I ran some numbers on that. Now in the traffic world, if you get 1 or 2 miles an hour reduction, that is great. We got a 5 mile per hour reduction and I was happy, right? I celebrated.
It takes very little to make Vern happy. Just, you know, for birthday gifts, just slow down and.
Reduction of speed to slow down 30 years, right? We did the same thing on that one. And that's mostly for the BYU pedestrians that we got with high density that they walk over. And then we just recently had a ribbon cutting on the 8th North 5th East one, which really accommodates also BYU students. So you're gonna see more of those types of treatments. We're also daylighting the crosswalks where we have people that won't obey the no parking signs in front of the crosswalks. We want people to be able to see the children. We want the children to be able to see the cars. So you're seeing a few delineators and bollards put in front of these. So if they're not going to obey the signs, then they're going to have to run over the delineators to park there. And I don't think they're going to do that.
So Vern, if there's a pedestrian crosswalk near a school with flashing beacons, that means no crossing guard?
For the most part, but not on the one at Tenview. And the one at Tenview, we're trying to hire a crossing guard to maintain a commitment that we made as a city, Mayor Kafusi made, and that is to have a crossing guard through the remainder of the year. And we want to do that. We're just in the process of trying to hire the right crossing guard.
The one by Rock Canyon.
Yes, that will stay through the remainder of the school year. And then the one that I'm converting, that 3,700 north, we committed to keep that one through the remainder of this calendar year, through December. There's a transition phase. We want everybody to kind of be safe at the transition.
The 3,700 north and 180 east, is that one at the base of the hill?
It's
Yeah,
that's
so
as you
it's
come down from Wells Pit Stop.
Okay.
Or not, just,
If you're headed
go
towards
to-
Will's
yeah,
Pit
it's just
Stop.
down from the
Yeah.
car wash, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you for meeting with us and helping resolve some of the issues. I do want to say like Vern, when they did do the study on the 3,700, he was going out on nice school days, like it wasn't in snow to do these counts. And you did the count twice there, right? And both times it was less than 4 kids that were using it. So he did come to our community council at Edgemont and explain what was going on and helped work with some upset parents. And I appreciated that they were there to do that.
We really want to give the benefit of the doubt. So in November, December, January, and February, I don't do those studies for schools. We want the weather to be warm. I never do them on a rain or snowy day. I really want them to meet those warrants. Now, with all that being said, next month in December, the law changes December 31st or January 1st. I don't know what the new law holds. I am going to the UDOT conference next week to learn what the new law is going to be, but this document is likely to change.
And that's an important thing to know is, you know, I've been a parent before, frustrated that, you know, there's not a crosswalk where there needs to be, but that there are specific criteria or words that have to be met by state law in order for us to have school crosswalks. Those are different than the warrants to have a regular crosswalk or one of these augmented ones with the flashing beacons. And in some ways, the flashing beacon crosswalks are more useful to the community because you have the flashy lights anytime you push the button, instead of only being able to have that security when a crossing guard is there at the beginning and end of the school day. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're doing all of this.
Well, we get the financial support and you're gonna see more of these. In fact, I think some people are saying, hey, I'm seeing a lot of your speed signs out there. Are they working? And I want to say, yes, they are working. At minimum, if you don't slow down, you at least feel guilty.
That's right.
Also nice when you get the thank you.
Uh-oh. That says something.
I like the thank you green ones, yeah.
Do you have questions?
Yeah.
Jennifer.
I have 2 questions. So the first is, you said the one crosswalk, you're still trying to find a crossing guard. Are all of our other crossing guard spots filled this year?
The one at 3,700 north is a level 2 crosswalk, so the police department has level 1s and level 2s, so that's based on the usage. And the level 2 is missing 2 days right now, and they're working. So if you know of anybody who wants to be a crossing guard, we have positions open for that. We'd like to see them all full.
Those are the only 2.
Those are the only 2 I'm aware of. Mariella is our crossing guard coordinator in the police department, and she's now been here a year, and so she's got her feet underneath her, and she's hiring lots of.
Where do they go to apply for those?
Probably in human resources. Yep. Right
Is
here
there
in
on,
Provo
do you
City.
do it online?
Yeah, you can do it online. Yep.
I think there's a running one, you can just go online and just,
That one's open until filled, if I remember correctly.
yeah, and it's all, since I've been here in 4 years, it's always.
So that's something I can share with like
Oh, yeah.
principals and they can maybe.
You
send it
could
out.
send that link to it or.
Community councils.
Just in case that link to Word.
My other question is, I had heard that there might be changes to the 4-way stop right there at Timpview High School, Edgemont Elementary. Can you share any information?
Sure. We are converting that 4-way stop to a traffic signal. Excited about that. It's gonna be,
It was stop traffic to get people through and it was just, anyway, Devin said, don't do it during the school year, do it in the summer, like her last comment was. So it will be in the summer that we do the work, but yeah.
Thank you, Jennifer, for bringing that up. I forgot about that.
All right, thank you. We'll go on to our last item. This is a discussion regarding the county property tax valuation and the truth in taxation process, which is always a headache, but this year was a migraine.
I
So,
understand.
yes, Jennifer, do you want to debrief us on that whole mess?
Sure, let's see how.
Or you,
We can do that.
You can pass it off if you like.
I'll give it a go and then we can have Devin and Wendy fill in as well. Okay, so this year the board decided that we wanted to go through the truth and taxation process to raise $4 million in our budget. Increase $4 million in our budget to increase teacher salaries. And so we started the process back in, I believe it's March, right? Devin went through all the checklists and contacted the county multiple times and looked through the law and all of those kinds of things. And we followed the process. And we had our hearing in August. And after our hearing, we held a business meeting, which we have done in the past as well. We've held a business meeting after truth and taxation. We did double check with the county and double check the checklists and because we weren't sure about aligning code about that. And we were told, oh, no, that's not what that aligning code means. You're okay to go ahead and hold your business meeting afterwards. And nothing on the checklist said that we went ahead as we've done before. And then beginning of September to them and asked them for, these are the reasons why we think we wanted to be in compliance, right? Recent property tax notice that everyone has received indicates that that is the case. And so generally, people are going to be paying about what they paid last year. And then we're going to have to go through the process again next year to teacher salary increase. And in the meantime, we'll be using our fund balances and just trying to be careful with our budget, right? To take care of that because of course we still want to honor those raises for our teachers. In the meantime, we've learned that the state has updated their checklists. So it's on there for when you guys use it next year, you know, not to have a meeting after. We just learned we need to be very, very thorough in how we follow the process. And we are one of what, 35 entities that were not approved. Some of them were for the same reasons. A lot of them were for a new portion of the law this year that says if any other entity that you share constituents is also doing truth and taxation, you have to cross-post that like on your website. So if you guys had done truth and taxation this year along with us, we would have both had to put on our websites that, by the way, the city's doing it, and you would have actually, by the way, the district's doing it, right? So that's why a lot of the other ones did not get approved.
So that means if you cross-posted, but the other entity didn't, you wouldn't have done anything wrong, but you could still have gotten rejected?
I think the one who didn't.
The one who.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
So we're also talking with our association, and I believe the Utah League of Cities and Towns is also very on top of this and is working, like, just to make sure that the associations can provide support and things, because, you know, we've heard some people say, well, you should have consulted a lawyer, make sure you understood the law. Well, not all entities, including us, have in-house legal counsel where we're going to turn to them, especially when we felt like we'd followed the process as thoroughly as possible, right? We thought we'd consulted entities that would know, so.
There was no option for appeal.
Oh, so we did send in a letter which they considered as an appeal. But they said there's really not outlined in code a formal appeal process for this. This is new. This was also new in the law that before there was no, the state tax commission was not required to deny if you did not follow the process.
and now they are. Now granted, they never told us previously that we were not compliant, but now they can say you're not compliant and therefore we cannot certify you. What was the question? Sorry.
No, that's the question.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so did I miss anything?
We
Oh, so we
appealed it, and they
appealed.
And they basically
Yeah.
stated they don't have jurisdiction.
They said they don't have jurisdiction to
even hear an
an appeal of a decision made by their own entity. So
They said the legislature has not granted them the right to have jurisdiction over an appeal, so they don't have the power or authority to do so.
So in that letter, they said we could go to appellate court or was it district court? But I mean, by the time you do that, we're already past all the time where it would have made a difference anyway, right?
The county wants to do a property tax adjustment. It's not a matter of cross notifying, is it? But we cannot. If the county wants to do one, we can. Is that right?
No, we can't. We all just have to cross post with each other.
Okay.
And you can't hold your hearings on the
Same
same.
night. Right. And everyone has to provide a what is it, virtual option for people to participate if they want to give comment, which I did just hear this last week in the state Rev and Tax interim committee meeting. There will be a cleanup bill this year and it includes clarifying, they did an audit and some entities weren't clear on what that meant. So some were thinking it meant you had to read every email out loud. Some are like, no, it's just Zoom. So they're gonna clarify that. And I think that's an important part of this discussion is what can we do as entities to work with the legislature to clarify some things. There, 2 months ago in that same interim committee, one legislator said if 60% of the entities who went through truth and taxation did not get certified, then that's on us. And there's something we need to adjust for the future, even though we may not be able to allow certification this year. So I think there are some legislators who do want to make some changes.
It was 60%, the denial rate. That's astonishing.
Yeah. Anything else I missed, Melanie?
I guess with what the process is, but those of you that are on our legislative committee, isn't there someone that's trying to put forth to get rid of truth and taxation altogether?
I think right now we're just hearing rumors of things. So, you know, I just said there are some legislators who want to make things a little bit easier. The list of things you have to do to go through the process is very long. So maybe cleaning some of that up, but then we're also hearing that there are some legislators who don't want to make it easier or might want to just get rid of truth and taxation altogether, that we don't get to raise our own. So one thing the state is wrestling with, this was the topic of like their whole last committee meeting, was property taxes have gone up a lot over the last 5 years, and why? The basic rate for 5 years. So normally when values go up, the rate goes down so that the amount of revenue collected stays the same unless you go through this process. And for that 5-year hold, it didn't. And that's also when we had a ton of growth in our home values. And so that brought in a lot more property tax. And so that's why we're seeing that. So.
Also, the businesses did not go up the same rate as homes did. So with the businesses staying stable and homes going up, that burden did fall a lot more on homeowners than on this, would have been if all of them had gone up at the same rate.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys are planning to do it next year, but just know that we are. So,
I have no idea what we're doing next year.
I'm sure you'll figure it out later, but.
We'll be a different body next year as well.
True. And what is it? March, you have to do the first notification, or when is it?
No, I have to let them know before June 1st.
June
the
1st.
county and the state tax commission.
Okay, so you would just have to, unless the law changes.
We will usually do it a little earlier than that
Yeah.
because we want to make sure we can get it on a day that works for everyone. We will do it on a day other than our normal business meeting, so.
Yeah, we will. Yeah. All right, any other questions or? I think we'll probably do another joint meeting together before we all have to make those decisions. So we'll be able to touch base and see where everyone is. Yes.
Have you guys gotten those, homes into your, property taxes now, the ones up at Sundance or whatever that were not in it before?
We have the ones right now down the west side by Lakeview. And the ones, others that are towards the mouth of the canyon. The issue is some of the land, a lot of the land up at Sundance is considered county land, so that's going to Alpine School District. So all county land within the confines of Provo actually goes to Alpine.
Are you working on working that out, or is that?
Well, there
possibly
isn't
working out?
anything, I've asked the question, nobody seems to be able to answer why things with the Provo zip code still go to Alpine. There's a split. Some of it will go to Nebo, some of it will go to Alpine, but because we are a city school district, we only get city taxes. All county taxes are split between other school districts, which I find a little odd and would like to have that cleaned up in law at some point.
Your state legislature out and see if they're willing to run a bill for you.
Yeah, so it's something that we've talked about, but that is one of the main issues, and Provo has a lot higher of an amount, and you guys are well aware of the amount of tax exempt property in the state. And statewide, we still have a much higher percentage than our neighboring cities, so it does become a challenge.
It might be, we're talking to Lisa Shepherd about that.
Should be a good one. She would get into that. All right, well, we will look forward to doing truth and taxation, or you doing truth and taxation next year. And do you think it would just be for the same amount, or do you think, will it need to be slightly more because you're not getting interest money this year for everything that you're pulling out of your rainy day fund? Do you have to kind of compensate for that?
You know, we're looking at a lot of programs right now as well to see, you know, what we can do more efficiently, what things we don't need to do as a school district. And just doing a lot of evaluating to see what money can be saved so that we do only have to go out. But we will also go out next year for our municipal bonds that we issued just last week for the payments the following year. So we'll have to do it in 26 and 27.
Okay. And then we're gonna try and keep it as low as possible.
Yep,
right?
that's
Yeah.
my goal. It's always to keep it as low as what we can.
Right, because you're also looking at your boundary adjustments as you're looking at your programs and everything, so that's a lot of moving pieces. Yeah. And have you come to a decision on Dixon? Yes, we just voted at our last meeting that we are going to rebuild, or we're gonna build an elementary school at the Dixon property and move the Timpanogos students over there. And then we will repurpose what now Timpanogos Elementary for a lot of our other district programs that don't have a permanent. Yeah. Okay. That's exciting. Yeah. So at our next meeting, we'll start talking about the timeline of that. All right. Is there anything else that we should talk about when we're all here in the same room with each other?
Just one,
Yes.
we talked to Devin a little bit. School district owns some property right in the middle of Ivory development, and they're bringing in their subdivisions now. And if it's not intended to be a school, we could stop roads and utilities so that it can blend into the development if you're selling it, or because right now we were sort of treated as a school property, and we're hearing maybe that's not going to be a school property. So we can make it easier or harder to develop by what we're doing now. So if you kind of lend yourself to that idea, that might help us in how we stub utilities and streets into that property.
What's your timeline on doing that aspect?
They're probably they've already set the first set of drawings, so we're probably a month or two before things start getting locked in. But again, you don't have to sell or get rid of it. Just let us know that you're planning not to develop it, and we'll develop around it. So it's an interlocked development. So it's not that you have to act on it. You just tell us it's not a school, then we will review it that way.
Okay. Ooh.
Or-
Sounds
or-
like a possible land trust workforce housing spot.
So anyway, yeah, I didn't get that far, just want to know how the roads go. We'll deal with it later.
Thank you. If there's no objection, we will now adjourn this Provo Municipal Council meeting that our school board has joined us with by unanimous consent.